So may I start?
Thank you very much for joining, sir.
May I start?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I have to present my screen.
Yes, sir.
So good morning. Today I would be presenting the semiconductor devices for
Due to network problem, the speaker will join very soon. So kindly wait for 2 to 3 minutes. Kaushik sir, can you hear me?
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So this is a second arrangement from my side. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
May I switch
Your
off my
voice is
camera?
somewhat voice is not clear, sir, and it is also a low one.
Pardon?
बाकी
Yes, sir.
आपकी आवाज थोड़ी कम आ रही है फुल
Sir, नहीं सही आ रही है sir.
Shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
okay. So please do it full screen, or is it okay? No problem. Huh?
Full screen.
Full screen is fine, sir. You can do full screen.
Okay. So I lost the connection in the first slide only. Okay. So in this talk, I will cover how we will use these semiconductor devices and how we decide this, which material has to be used, which device has to be used, and what are the challenges. So next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So I will cover in this talk the introduction part, and then how we choose these materials for high power RF applications, and the design and fabrications to completeness of the completeness of this talk. Then I do this electrical characterization and modeling, and how we use these models for designing RF circuit and to design a further amplifier, LNA, or any other things. And that goes to the up to the MMIC level also, microwave monolithic integrated circuits. And there are the issues in the material, which are the current one is the gallium nitride, and there are major issues which prohibits, which stops us to use its full potential. And these are in terms of threshold voltage, leakage current, current collapse, and RF dispersion, and surface conduction. And the majority of the problems are related to the defects and traps present in this material. So let us see how it works and what are the challenges. First thing, have you anybody can guess who invented the first radio communication in the world? First radio communication, first PN junction, oh sorry, metal semiconductor junction. It is our Professor J.C. Bose. That too in the end of 19th century, he demonstrated this diode, this 60 gigahertz communication system here in India. And he was actually 60 years of ahead in the world, and still West took lot of time to recognize his contribution. In 1997, that his work on millimeter waves has been recognized, but in terms of in case of semiconductor, still it is not recognized. And we call metal semiconductor junction as a Schottky diode. However, it was first demonstrated by Professor J.C. Bose. It should have been a Bose diode. Pardon me if I am projecting too much, but this is our legacy. But in the meantime, we lost some way, and in semiconductor, we are lagging behind. As you can see nowadays, there is a crunch of cars because of this semiconductor chips non-availability. So, but we have that history. We have done that, and world has accepted. In terms of microwave communication, yes, they have recognized, but in terms of semiconductor, now the technology has moved far ahead, so we have to catch up this. So this is just a glimpse, because none of us actually 1 year back I did not know that Professor J.C. Bose has contributed immensely in electronics engineering. And as an engineer, we all should know that. So next, please. So if you see the semiconductor market, especially RF, it is categorized by device. If you see this power amplifiers, the active part of this is power amplifiers, filter, active filters, basically switch, LNAs, and phase shifters, oscillator, attenuators, couplers, antenna tuners. So by application, if you see consumer devices, especially used in telecommunications and other laptops, there is a lot of demand is there, and it is growing exponentially. And if you talk about this aerospace and defense, it was already there. There are radar systems, transmitter modules, receiver modules, and it is being used from last many decades. And in automotive industries now, all our cars are controlled by these semiconductor devices. Now automatic driving is coming, that needs anti-collision avoidance radars, that needs again this RF semiconductors, and the cable TVs, wire broadband, these are the already being used from last many decades. So by material, we have silicon, which is 99% of the device are made on silicon. So silicon has the first mover advantage, but now there are limitations are coming in terms of its band gap, mobility, and the performance. So new material choice are this gallium arsenide, silicon germanium heterojunction, silicon carbide, gallium nitride, indium phosphide. So let's have a look one by one on them. Next, please. So if you see the operating frequencies and the available power from that particular material, if you see that highest is in case of vacuum tubes, but GaN is replacing slowly this region, and silicon is in lower frequencies, medium power, and the high power silicon carbide is there, and gallium oxide is projected, but due to this low thermal conductivity, it has some problem. So, but at a high frequency, this gallium nitride is occupying this full space. And if you see this graph by applications, so we can see that after few years, not only this low frequency, not only this RF frequency, but the low frequency also in silicon will be replaced by gallium nitride in terms of high power, especially electrical vehicles, where you need kilowatts of power, kilowatts of drive. So we need energy efficient gallium nitride, which has a power added efficiencies up to 90%. It depends upon the actually design, but it can deliver. This has the potential. And if you see this lower side of this graph, R on versus breakdown voltage. So breakdown voltage depends upon the specific on resistance. So if you see, the silicon is not performing well, and here the higher band gap material like silicon carbide, gallium nitride, gallium oxide, aluminum nitride, even diamond is also coming. And if you see the market of this gallium nitride is slowly increasing and eating the space of silicon. Gallium arsenide is still there at high frequency, very high frequency, means in millimeter wave, still we have no choice. We have to use gallium arsenide also. But eventually, as the technology will mature, it will surely compete with gallium arsenide at millimeter wave also. Next, please. So the backbone of any communication, RF communication, is this a TR module. TR module consists of this pulse, transmitting pulse, carrier signal. There is a phase shifter, there is a power amplifier, and there is a circulator, antenna, and for the receiving part, this is LNA. So the majority of the power is being utilized by this power amplifier, and then the sensitivity of this receiver module is defined by the low noise amplifier. So these two we can realize in different material. All it's have advantages and disadvantages, but this module is being used in mobiles, radars, everywhere. where there is a communication system, you have a TR module. TR chip is there. So, but because silicon is already there, so whatever we develop, it has to be compatible with the silicon. But slowly the things would change. These are changing already. Next, please. So if you see the properties of different semiconductor material, here the band gap. First is the band gap. Higher the band gap, higher will be the breakdown voltage here. The smaller the band gap, if you talk about germanium, it is 0.66 volts, so it can't be used at high power. But it has another advantage is it is faster, means in response. So silicon germanium heterojunctions are popular, and even if you talk about the mobility, here we can get the two-dimension hole gas also. In these structures, we get two-dimension electron gas, 2DeG, and this higher mobility is there. But this is the only material where we get higher mobility in case of holes. And this is the gallium arsenide. Here we get this very high electron mobility, and indium phosphide is coupled with the gallium arsenide, and it is even in performing better because this is the bulk mobility and its 2DeG mobilities are much higher. And but in terms of power, you not only need mobility, you need breakdown plus mobility plus current, and current also decided by the peak saturation velocity. So here here GaN has some advantage. So let us see next, please. So requirement for RF application, what we need first is the substrate. So substrate should be highly resistive. Any conductivity in the substrate will attenuate our RF signal and it will degrade our output. So if we use silicon, it should be highly resistive signal. Normal, even ultra pure silicon is not highly resistive. So we need some compensation with some techniques to make it highly resistive. Some material has inherent highly resistive properties because of their larger band gap. This is silicon carbide and diamond and gallium nitride, but gallium nitride substrates are not available. Here we have gallium arsenide. Again, we have to make it this highly resistive by introducing defects. Again, we need high mobility of this semiconductor material. Here, this is a substrate in the first line. Second is the epitaxial. Now, this is a different thing from the substrate. So this is the epitaxial layer. Here we need lower sheet resistance that need higher carrier concentration, and then is the device design. Device design should be such that active region should be minimum, active region length should be smaller, and it should have higher gain. And if you talk about the gain GM, it is the BJT which wins, but there are issues with the BJT. That's why BJTs are not so popular if you talk about the high power RF application and mass production. But BJT has here one advantage of higher gain, and there are other things which should be minimum, just like parasitic resistance, capacitance, and these things. So, and if we increase the higher this breakdown voltage coupled with all these effects, we can get best devices, best possible outcome. So next, please. So if you see the resistivity of different substrate, here it is the silicon carbide and sapphire means the race, but silicon is also there, and it can be used for RF frequency, but losses will be there. It will give you some noise also if you design LNA on them. And here is the gallium arsenide. All these are compensated, silicon and gallium arsenide. While the silicon carbide, which has high thermal conductivity also, it is uncompensated, and we can use as grown material. And in case of sapphire also, but sapphire has a poor thermal conductivity. But you see all the LEDs which are gallium nitride only, and Nobel Prize went to on this LED, GaN LED, on a blue light. Later it was converted to white light by using phosphor. All are made on sapphire because sapphire is cheaper, silicon carbide is costlier. So these are the application where we decide the cost also matters when it comes to the market. Next, please. So resistivity of the semiconductor depends upon the band gap. Larger is the band gap, lower is the intrinsic carrier concentration. We can see from this formula that silicon carbide and gallium nitride has the lower intrinsic carrier concentration. We can make intrinsic carrier concentration lower for silicon and germanium also by using defects in the mid band gap, means equally away from the conduction band minima and the valence band maxima. So these shallower traps or shallower defects are the dopants. Actually, doping is also a defect. So we need these doping to introduce conductivity wherever we have to use the device. At other places, it should be maximum, means it should not be, there should not be any conductivity. And so for that use, we call it a compensation. These are mid band gap states. Next, please. So, and how this mobility, again, second parameter is mobility of the semiconductor. It is actually a nature gift. This is the EK diagram, E versus K. K is the inverse space and E is the energy. Here we can see this indirect band gap germanium, indirect band gap silicon, and direct band gap gallium arsenide material. And if you see that slope of conduction band in case of gallium arsenide, it is steeper. That results into smaller effective mass, and that gives you higher mobility. So this is the inherent one, but we can change the mobility by introducing heterojunctions, just like two-dimensional electron gas, and or we use some strain layer, so we can change the crystal lattice and we get higher mobilities. Next, please. This is the now how you introduce carrier concentration. You need carriers to switch on, switch off the transistor to flow the current. So first is the doping. Doping in the semiconductor, as we do conventionally in silicon by phosphorus and boron, but we can make this carrier concentration by delta doping in another material. Means AlGas is a wider band gap material, gallium arsenide is a smaller band gap material. When we dope aluminum gallium arsenide, the electron transfers from the aluminum gallium arsenide to gallium arsenide. And here the dopants are free from the interaction with the dopants. So we get less scattering, and that is results into the higher concentration, higher mobility. Otherwise, if you increase the doping here, and so the carrier concentration will increase in case of silicon, when dopant is present, the mobility will also reduce. Next, please. So how to choose a device? So if you talk about the diodes, we can compare PN junction with a Schottky. And if you talk about the transistor, there are three types of transistor: FAT versus BJT, then MOSFET versus MESFET, MESFET versus HAMP. Next. So in case of PN junction, actually the device performance is restricted by this presence of minority carrier. When you switch off the PN junction, it takes time to revert back the carrier concentration. And in case of metal semiconductor, no minority carriers are present, so it increases our speed. But again, if defects are present, that will add in PN junction also, that will add in metal semiconductor junction also. It will present a parallel RC network in comparison to the device capacitance, that will restrict the speed, and that may harm our device also. That will result in the capacitance dispersion also, or current dispersion also. Means capacitance is the function of frequency. That should not be the case until unless device geometries are in that range. Next, please. So if you talk about the FAT BJT, FAT versus BJT, the FAT BJT has an advantage in compared to FAT, because it has if it has similar base width compared to the device length or gate length of the FAT, but it has a denominator of mobility into thermal voltage, which is much higher than the applied voltage of this drain voltage of FAT transistor. So in transit time of BJT is lower, and the GM is much higher in case of BJT, because this is delta I over delta V. Here the current control device is there, So V is very small base emitter junction voltage will give you very large collector current. So that's why here the FT is much higher. So, but again, this BJT is not used because the design is vertical. If we can see in the diagram, there are valves, there is a collector, then there is a base, then there is emitter. So this is a vertical design, and when we do this scaling, we prefer lateral design. So that's why, despite having better characteristic in terms of frequency, this field effect transistor is preferred because of planar design. Next, please. When you compare MOSFET means FET with the MESFET, naturally metal semiconductor junction is a faster, which is used at the control of the gate. So we prefer this MESFET because if you talk about MOSFET in enhancement, it is a minority carrier device. If you talk about depletion mode, it's a majority carrier device, but it has some limitations. So that part is covered, is better performed in MESFET. So we prefer MESFET in compared to MOSFET. Even our earlier devices of these TR modules were fabricated on MESFET only. Actually, MOSFET was used up to L band, and after that MESFET took over. But with the advantage, next please, when that HAMT arrived on the stage and it replaced MESFET totally. And the advantage of high electron mobility transistor, that is HAMT, is actually it has a high electron mobility. Now I explain this, why we call this two-dimension electron gas, and why it has a higher mobility, because dopants are separate. It is called gas because its density is in the gaseous design. If you talk about the atomic density of anything, it will be around 10 to the power 23 per centimeter cube. But if you talk about gas, it will be 10 to the power 19, 20 per centimeter cube. And here the 2dG carrier concentration in the channel we get in that range only. That's why it is called gas. And after this gallium arsenide HAMTs came into the picture, it has totally revolutionized this RF field of the semiconductor. Next, please. So, but if you need high power also, you can get gain from the smaller device also. Current gain means power gain. This voltage gain multiplied by current gain. But if you need really high power, very high power in terms of watts, hundreds watt, even kilowatt, then gallium arsenide is not the choice. Next, please. If we compare the silicon gallium arsenide and silicon carbide with gallium nitride, if we have already seen this higher band gap and the carrier concentration, and these are the breakdown electric field mobility. Here we can see the GaN wins in all except this thermal conductivity. Thermal conductivity is in case of silicon carbide is much better than the gallium nitride. So we use gallium nitride epitaxial layer and the substrate of silicon carbide. We use the combination of both to take the advantage of this material. And here is the one more thing: the operating temperature is much beyond the operating temperature of silicon and gallium arsenide. So this is a very useful when we design thermal heat sinks and other things. And the carrier concentration also, that here we are getting is 1 E13 centimeter square per centimeter square, which is one order higher than all these materials. So GaN has the advantage of 10 times the breakdown voltage, 10 times in the current. So ideally speaking, it is 100 times high power, but still the potential is not realized. We are getting up to 10 times power densities compared to this gallium arsenide and silicon. Next, please. Here, in the case of gallium nitride, AlGaN, GaN, HAMT, here we get two-dimension electron. This is the diagram. This is the AlGaN layer here, and below is the gallium nitride layer. And we here don't do any doping. In AlGas, we have seen we use delta doping to get this channel, to make this channel 2dG channel. But here, when we grow this AlGaN, aluminum gallium nitride over a gallium nitride layer, after a critical thickness, this 2DG channel automatically appears. This is a nature gift. And the theory of this origin of this 2DG is the surface states. This is the Ibbotson model. They have predicted in 2000, around 2000, that there are the donor surface states which are present at the top surface of AlGaN. They are ionized because of the positive charge is present and negative charge appears here. And still people debates how it is there, but now it is a almost settled question that 2DG, because we are not doping, it is not coming from the substrate from the behind, it is coming from the thickness when we increase with thickness of AlGaN. But it is a neutral charge, electrically charged neutral device, so it is actually neutralizing the polarization charge present in this material. In AlGaN layer, there is a piezoelectric as well as spontaneous polarization, and the GaN there is a spontaneous polarization only. Next, please. So, if you see that when AlGaN is grown pseudomorphically on gallium nitride layer, we have to stretch it. So, lattice constant of AlGaN material is smaller compared to GaN, and when it is stretched, it generates piezoelectric polarization, and spontaneous polarization is the inherent property of this gallium nitride. So we are getting this 2DAG due to the compensation of this polarization charges present in the material. Otherwise, it is electrically neutral, and we are getting a much higher carrier concentration compared to the conventional semiconductors. So, but we have to pay the price of this. Next, please. Here also, yeah. Any question? Okay. Here also, if we see this aluminum gallium nitride GaN structure, there is a substrate, there is a buffer layer, and there is a 2DG form is the AlGaN-GaN interface, and there is a smaller aluminum nitride spacer layer is used to increase the mobility to reduce the alloy scattering, and there is a GaN cap layer, and these are ohmic contact source and drain, and there is a silicon nitride. We call it a passivation layer, but this is just a layer, because if we passivate the surface state, our 2DG will go, but this protects our this HAMT, and it helps in the reduction of this current collapse phenomenon, RF dispersion. And this is a gate. Gate is the Schottky metal, just like gallium arsenide HAMT. And if we see that how this carrier concentration in the 2DG channel increase with the aluminum percentage in the AlGaN layer, we can see this graph. And these are the charge diagram, and we can see the complete structure is charge neutral. Next, please. So, what are the design? Actually, this, in case of any technology, semiconductor technology, it is the epitaxy material that controls the technology. And this is the $1 billion question. Then nobody shares what is the thickness, how they have arrived at, what are the different layers they are using in their material. They give just broad parameter to use them and to design them. But here in SSPL we design this all epitaxial layer, we fabricate the transistor, and we use them. Next, please. And these are the typical layer thickness. These are not exact. So we use around this 3-inch substrate in size, 2-inch also there. The thickness of the substrate can vary 400 micron to 600 micron, and above that, the substrate for gallium nitride should be gallium nitride, but unfortunately native gallium nitride substrates are not available, so we have to use non-native substrate. And then we have to see which is the lattice match with the gallium nitride. Just like silicon carbide has the best match, higher thermal conductivity, higher resistivity. But we can use silicon and sapphire also, and devices are used in the market, and they are made on silicon and sapphire substrate. And here is the epitaxial layer. Now technology starts right from the substrate. Now there are the epitaxial layer. So first we have to grow buffer and it should be thick, and there are interfacial layer also, so that that transition from non-native substrate to native substrate can be done. And again, this is a proprietary question, then how it is made. And after that, there is a because buffer should be highly resistive, it is unintentionally doping is there present. So to reduce that conductivity of the buffer, we use iron doping or carbon doping to increase the resistivity. But in channel, we don't want anything. So there is a around 200 nanometer gallium nitride channel. After that, there is a 1 nanometer aluminum species channel, and around 20 nanometer AlGaN barrier layer is there, and 2 nanometer GaN cap layer is there to prevent the oxidation at the surface. And these are the typical thicknesses of the layer design. Next, please. So first, how we use in the amplifier. If we design amplifier, we need higher voltages, operating voltages, higher currents. So we have to take care of few things. See, the thickness of the AlGaN barrier and the this gate length is interconnected. When we reduce the gate length, we should reduce the AlGaN thickness. But when we reduce the AlGaN thickness, actually the total current reduce, and we get the smaller output. So we have to compromise on that. And to increase the breakdown voltage, first we shift gate to nearest possible to the source side. So in case of power devices, if you open any device, you will see the gate is near to the source. There is a gap between gate and a drain. So this is done intentionally. And their field plates, because this technology is not mature like silicon, so we use field plates. Field plates, it can be gate connected, it can be source connected, and but there is a problem in this material because of surface state. As I pointed out earlier, we have to pay the price of the surface state, because surface state are present near to the gate, and they occupied electron from the gate and become neutral and deplete the 2DG channel. That gives a virtual gating effect and reduce our performance of the device. And we have one more thing, when we have to increase the current, we can increase the width of the device, but we can't do so because it will limit our frequency operation. So width of the device, physical width of the device, we have to restrict to the lambda. Lambda means operating wavelength by 20 only. So to operate in the lumped design, after this width of the device, the distributed effect will come, and device will not be in same phase, and rather it giving gain, it will give you loss. So we use multi-finger device, and we increase the number of fingers to increase the width, not the width of the device. Next, please. In the field plate, we use to increase the breakdown voltage. Actually, what field plate do is shift the electric field break from the gate as to the away from the gate. So even effectively, the breakdown voltage is increased when we increase the field plate length. You can see in this lower side of left side graph. But penalty we have to pay in terms of FT, operating frequency. It also reduces. But the solution of this is we have to reduce the gate field plate length and introduce source field plate. Actually, that does not affect our gate to source capacitance CGSS, and we are comfortable with the slight reduction in FT, means unity gain operating frequency. And the gain cap layer thickness is also optimized by putting different thicknesses. So around 2 nanometer is the optimum GaN cap layer thickness that gives you around good 2DG carrier concentration. Next, please. In case of switch, we don't go with this design. We don't. Where in power we put gate near to the source. Here we put in the center, because we need high power, but we need good isolation from both sides. So here, in the case of switch, we use a centrally placed gate. Next, please. And in case of LNA, we can use the same device which was used in the power, but there are some condition. Its input resistance should be smaller, and it should work in a linear region, and it should have a good stability. So for that purpose, what we do, we reduce the size of the device, and we use in the as far as the linear class A mode of the operation, we don't go into the non-linear mode of this operation. And for this design of LNA, if we see the minimum noise figure we get, if we reduce the gate length and we reduce the gate resistance and the source resistance, here is the input should be matched to get the minimum noise figure. Next, please. So the fabrication steps, these are just I'm touching. I'm not going in detail. That here first we make this source and drain ohmic contact by depositing source drain metals. This is nickel gold, tie aluminum nickel gold, and there is a rapid thermal annealing after that deposition of the source drain, because this tie is titanium. Titanium is spiked. It diffused into the AlGaN layer, make ohmic contact with the AlGaN-GaN interface, and after that we deposit this nickel gold gate electrode, and how this transistor is fabricated. Next, please. But again, the most important part is the backside. We have to thin the substrate, we have to make via in that, and we have to put metal in that. This has been done to solve two problems. First is the thermal. We have to extract the thermal heat from the device. Second, we have to reduce the inductance for RF applications to increase the RF performance of the device. Next, please. So now electrical characterization and modeling. Next, please. So before we put any device for any characterization, electrical characterization, we have to stable it. Even in DC also, we have heard that we have to stabilize in RF circuit. But before we go for this DC, even for DC measurement, we have to stabilize it. We have to use some gate resistance that depends upon the VG max of the device and IG max of the device, and we have to apply this gate resistance of the device to make any DC measurement of the device. So these are some setup I'm using in our lab. These are the transconductance dispersion and deep level transient spectroscopy. This setup is there. Next, please. And these are the pulse IV measurement. If you can see this pulse IV measurement, the current is changing in the left graph. However, it is not so visible. But if you say when the T-on of the pulse is varying, the current is the shape of current is changing. That shows that the dispersion is there, and this is the root cause of the RF dispersion in the device. And if you see in CV also, this is simple CV, and we can estimate this 2dG present. Actually, what we designed, we have to check from here how much current we are getting, how much carrier concentration are getting from the CV. But CV is the function of frequency also. That is also once again the signature of RF dispersion. Next, please. Then we go for RF characterization. To do this RF characterization, we have not only stabilized device in DC but also in RF for RF application. So we have to present a load at the input of the device, RF load at the output of the device, and we have to measure S parameter, and then we have to embed all these input and output network extra we have added. Next, please. And then for a power amplifier application, we have to do load pull, because we have to design a power amplifier where it gives maximum power added efficiency. Actually, it is not only the power, it is the power added efficiency where the GaN is popular. If you talk about the gallium arsenide, maximum power added efficiencies are up to 40%. But here you can see in class F mode, people are claiming in more than 90%. Even in this class AB mode, pulse measurement of these devices, people are claiming 70 to 75% power added efficiency. And when you talk about the kilowatt, this every percent matters, because whatever is the reduction in PAV, it is a loss. And if you talk about any application, the loss of power will result in the higher thermal load. And if you talk about the satellites, there will be a huge reduction in the size. Next, please. For this load pool, we do this active load pool as well as passive load pool. If you see in case of passive load pool, the complete Smith chart is not covered. If you see this tuner plus cable plus probe, and actually we are measuring this tuner plus cable plus probe. So we have very small region where we can measure this the performance of our device, that is power device. In case of active load pool, we use amplifier to synthesize this load, and we can cover complete Smith chart, complete portion of the Smith chart, means very low impedances to get the what is the best available power added efficiency and output power from the device. Next, please. Now we have done all the measurement. Now we have to design a circuit, but before designing circuit, we need that device should be presented as a model in our circuit simulator like ADS or microwave office, so that we can make use of it and make the circuit and simulate it before the fabrication. So we do this large signal modeling. In this, we use all these parameter. We take test parameter in cold device, means without any bias, to extract all these parasitics, and then we do the modeling of active part of the devices by taking thermal consideration, current collapse, RF dispersion, and this leakage current also. So next, please. So after this making a nonlinear model, we can design a circuit on a board, because RLC component available in the market, they behaves like resistance, capacitance, and inductance on lower frequencies, means S band. Although it is a microwave frequencies, but if you talk of the component size, they are lumped components, so we can use on the test boards, and we can use of transmission line, we can design amplifier, and we can get good PAE. But when we have to design and Ka band or KU band, we need a different approach, because we can't use test boards. Next, please. We have to make this MMIC, microwave monolithic circuits. Although the simulation and this design is similar, except a few things, we have to see the dimensions of the all components involved. But if next, please. Next slide. Yeah. If you see that design is not so different, but because the frequency of operation is entirely different. Here all components behave like distributed components, so we need models that works up to that frequency, and for that ready-made products which are not available as lumped ones, so we have to design. Here we need a foundry. For foundry, we need a design component library, that is PDK, and for all component, transmission line, capacitor, inductor, everything. In addition to the active models, large signal, that model of the transistor. So to design this MMIC, so we have to fabricate an inductor and make a model. Different size of inductor is there, length of the inductor, width of the inductor, similarly capacitance, because there is a resonant frequency involved all these components. After the resonant frequency, you can't use any component. So now here capacitor is not a simple capacitor, inductor is not a simple capacitor. As you can see in this diagram, all are a distributed effect, and higher is the frequency, then the higher the order of the model. And here the things becomes very complex, but we have to use different design strategies to make all these component again, but simulation wise it will be simpler, however design will be different. Next, please. So after the fabrication of MMIC, it will be look like this. There are different companies. We don't use here the circular inductors. Mostly this rectangular inductors are used, but there are different companies we use. They give you even this PDK if you design their circuit and get it fabricated from the company, and but they charge very much. Next, please. And this is a just glimpse how it looks like in ADS, and the design of a circuit, and you can extract what is the PAE, power added efficiency, what is the output power level of the from the particular device. Next, please. And this is the available in the market. Suppose a die is available or a package device is available, it will be look like this. Next, please. But if you have to make yourself, when you designed a MMIC, fabricated MMIC, you have to dice it and package it. For dicing and packaging, again, is a challenge. You need a particular carrier, you need bond pads, you need bond wires, you attach with the PCBs attached, and they use a particular casing of, it should be a highly thermally conducting. There should not be any epoxy in between, and you take care of all those issues. Next, please. So all these we do, and we get these devices or amplifier for the use in circuit, but there are major issues of this technology, gallium nitride technology especially. I will cover in next slides. Next, please. So what we need from the GaN? We need high RF power, voltage, current. We need higher temperature operation. We need, it can sustain overdrive and stress. It is a high radiation. It should be high radiation hardness. Gallium nitride being a very bindgum material, it is a radiation hard, but presence of this surface states make it susceptible to this radiation damage. And if you can see this figure, there is a gate leakage current degradation, hydrogen poisoning is there, there is a virtual gate formation is there are pits formation is there are the dislocation present in the epitaxial material. Even epitaxial material in gallium nitride is not dislocation free, and this is the first drawback. And there are the via degradation is there, and the silicon nitride passivation is a problem when it comes to this radiation hardness. That is a problem. So there is a time dependent dielectric breakdown is there. So there are so many issues. I will cover few of them in this lecture. Next, please. So when you calculate or you estimate the reliability, what is the reliability of your device, you will choose this biasing point. This Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Q1 is class A, and this Q2 is very high current but low voltage, and this a very high voltage is low current. And the problem with this technology is that everywhere the degradation is different. Next, please. That's why we get multiple activation energies of multiple biasing points. And normally what we are using this accelerated lifetime test of thermal acceleration to calculate this lifetime of the devices. But here the one thing is clear, that there is not a single mechanism, means we cannot calculate the all reliability issues from the voltage this thermal acceleration, because all activation energies are differing, and all estimated lifetime will vary. So which is correct one? So still there is a debate how we should go in this to qualify this gallium nitride for RF gallium nitride for space application especially. So shall we use voltage as acceleration? Shall we use RF acceleration life test also? So these people are working on that. Next, please. And one more thing is that if we are not able to solve or understand the issue, what should we do? We should either we increase the voltage and see the consequences, so that no one wants, because reliability is must. So we reduce the operating voltage. So if you see that any data sheet of gallium nitride transistor or any amplifier, their breakdown voltages are much higher, but they are operated at very less values, on very smaller values. That is the reason for this is they want to avoid these reliability issues. They want to work in that regime where these different other issues are not coming into the picture, and they get the desired lifetime. Next, please. So here in SSPL we have studied some issues in detail. One of these is threshold voltage shift. As we can see from the schematic diagram that here we were getting that when we increase the temperature of this measurement, the threshold voltage of the device is shifting. Means there is a trapping with the increase in the temperature. Means trap has some capture barrier that was crossed by the temperature energy given to the carriers, and it is reducing the drain current and shifting the threshold voltage towards the positive side. So next we have observed this phenomena of inverse temperature dependence, and here we can see that leakage current is reducing with the increase in temperature, and that was very strange because normally leakage current should increase because thermally excited carrier should give rise to the thermionic assisted emission that is supposed to be in a Schottky diode, but this is not the case. And there are different models to explain this phenomena by thermionic trap assisted model, thin surface Brady model, but none of them could explain that. Next, please. Then, next. Yeah, so this was explained by the formation of virtual gate. That virtual gate formation and the length of this virtual gate formation would give you this anomalous leakage current. Means when you increase the temperature, there is a trap assisted current is flowing from the metallic gate, from the virtual gate, and the length of this virtual gate itself is controlled by the electric field and the temperature of the measurement. When you increase the temperature, the length of the virtual gate is reduced, and we get this smaller leakage currents. Next, please. And we calculated the surface state energetic distribution density of the state from the leakage current data as well as the forward IV data. So we get there are surface state present in the top L-GaN surface or the metal semiconductor interface, and which are making this virtual gate LVG is there, and these are the inversely these are the function of inverse temperature, the linear function of inverse temperature. And this is formed due to the hopping conduction at the surface in the presence of electric field, and otherwise it is very difficult to get ionization from a deep surface, deep trap, which is around 2 electron volt or 1.4 electron below the conduction band. Next, please. And these are the currents, how we modeled it, that we calculated the virtual gate length and virtual gate current separately and thermionic current separately, and we have added to match with the measurement data. So, but this virtual gate gives a drain current collapse also. Next, please. So, this formation of virtual gate in this HAM can explain this RF dispersion or current collapse at the high voltages, and it gives the formation of kink effect also. That is very peculiar because kink it should not be present there, but at low electric field there is sudden increase in the drain current, output IV of the current, and impact ionization may be present, but it can't be explained by impact ionization or the increase in the drain current because the field here are very small, and the operating voltages of devices are 3 times higher, and the breakdown voltage is 10 times higher from where 20 times higher from the place where we are getting this effect. So all these anomalous phenomena are explained by this virtual gating effect. Next, please. So this kink effect, if you see, when we take slow measurement, the magnitude of this change in the current varies, And if we go to cryogenic temperature, we can see even the current reduce in the pre-king region almost zero, negligible level, and it increases suddenly when we increase the field, electric field. Although field is smaller, but there is some field dependent phenomena is there. So we have explained with the formation of virtual gate. And to do this, we have measured this transconductance with the frequency and different voltages that show that dispersion is present. Next, please. So this was done in the Atlas simulation, and this virtual gate lens was incorporated in this model. And this is the formation of the n plus n minus n plus junction in the L-GaN channel that gives this kind of phenomena, because there is a high resistance pocket that reduces the drain current, and after the breakdown of this channel high resistance channel region, that gives rise to the current, and this is a totally undesired phenomena. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. And this is the band diagram, if we say in the working condition when drain voltage is applied and it is device in the operation, and we can see the different effect of temperature, electric field, and length of virtual gate in this diagram. Next, please. Oh, this diagram, this table is not so clear. Sorry, excuse me for that. Actually, this is the comparison how this passivation effect, this formation of virtual gate. Actually, if you design a L-GaN ham and the device is not passivated, you will get a very high breakdown voltage but very low leakage current. But there will not be any drain current, because there will be totally drain current collapse. But when you deposit silicon nitride upon them, there are chances you get moderate current, moderate collapse, moderate gate leakage, but you can get very small breakdown voltages also and very high gate leakage. And that we have seen that it is from the surface conduction. Next, please. So in this diagram, leakage current of 3 devices, unpassivated and 2 different type of passivations are compared. So we can see that in one device where there is a very high leakage current, there is a kind of thermal activation in the gate leakage current is there. So, and this is the energetic distribution, means density of state of the traps involved in this conduction. Next, please. And this is the transconductance dispersion of all these devices, which is present in all 3. So this is common. So how it means that current collapse is there or not there. Transconductance dispersion is always present, means all 3 devices would not work in RF, because there is a common problem of that. But one aspect of that is it is from the surface state, and in this study we have calculated what is the role of this surface conduction and surface state. Next, please. So the device where sample one that was giving very high gate leakage current and the thermal activation energy in the gate leakage, it gives a conductance DLTS peak of around 0.8 eV. But that broadness and the height variation of the conductance and this DLTS peak gives impression that these are distributed in nature and they are somewhat different from the standard theory. So the peak of DLTS signal is whole like. If you compare the normal DLTS signal, it should have a positive peak, but here we are getting negative peak, that is a hole like emission. But actually there is no hole in this device, because totally this is the electron channel is present and nowhere other so much conduction. So it is actually a surface state. This is a special feature of surface state that comes into the DLTS signal as a whole emission signature. Next, please. So this is the model we have proposed, that there are mid-band gap stage that has a distribution, and there is a band edge. There are distribution in the defects near the band edge also. And there is an interfacial layer formed at the silicon nitride and AlGaN interface that give rise to this anomalous phenomena. And there is a hopping conduction is taking place in the mid-band gap that has activation energy of around 0.2 V, but this is deeper in the energy, and the electron gets to the conduction level through this extended defective state present in the band gap. Next, please. This phenomena of hopping conduction at the surface was confirmed by this measurement when we plot this gate leakage current with respect to electric field. Electric field, 1 upon electric field to the power 3 by 4 and 1 by 4. So here we are getting that at higher electric field, nearest neighbor hopping is present, and we can say that this is a hopping which is creating a problem here. Next, please. So again, that defect, which type of defect is present, we can probe with the mercury probe CV measurement, and that is reflected in the capacitance dispersion as well as conductance dispersion. These are the peak you are seeing. These are the conductance graph, G by omega graph, that has the unit of capacitance only, but that gives you the peak position with the frequency, give you the trap energy. Next, please. Here we can see how the trap distribution present in these devices. This is the epitaxial layer because mercury probe we can do without any fabrication, and we can guess how the traps are present, what is the energetic distribution, what is the density of a state of particular traps are there. So here we are seeing that traps, shallower traps as well as deeper traps are present. And but the limitation here is the measurement frequency range is restricted to 2 megahertz, so we can't go beyond that, and lower is 20 hertz. So if we have to probe deeper trap, we have to go much smaller frequencies, even to the millihertz, and if we go to the shallow trap, we have to go the higher frequencies. Next, please. So in conclusion, that the AlGaN GaN HAMT is the best choice for the high power RF application, but still the full potential of GaN technology is not utilized. The surface traps, bulk traps, and high leakage currents limits its performance. RF dispersion, power degradation restricts the operating voltages and currents. And but eventually in future, AlGaN GaN HAMT would replace traveling wave tubes completely. So that's all. Query next. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for an enlightened presentation. It gave deep insight into the topic of semiconductor devices and was full of knowledge and interesting things. The point where sir told us about the device characterization of the current voltage characteristics and load pull technique was very informative. So thank you once again, sir. So, and dear participants, any queries, kindly ask, or you can post it on the chat box. So I have one query.
Yeah, ma'am.
So why we take this pulse DCIV characteristics in comparison to the normal DCIV characteristics for the last signal modeling?
Actually, when we reduce the pulse size, actually we reduce the heating of the channel.
Okay.
That's why we are reducing the thermal effects. So we want to go the smaller as the possible, smaller size of the pulse width. But normally it is not possible go beyond to go to lower to the 1 nanosecond. But it is better to go for the smaller as possible. But the problem with this GaN HAMT is that the moment you go for this switching, that dispersion also comes into the picture.
Yes.
So,
Sir.
but here we can separate the thermal issues from this others.
But sir, as you know, we are going into better fabrication of the GaN HAMT devices. So now the kink effect, this dispersion effects and thermal effects, so they are minimized in the GaN when the fabrication techniques are improvised.
Yeah, actually there are two different things. One is the material property.
Yes.
Once material is formed, we can't do that. And second is the fabrication part. What are the defects? We can't design a device without introducing any defect. When we are doing something something will happen to the epitaxial layer or the transistor which we are fabricating. So if you talk about the material part, we can't do anything. It is there. We whatever we can do, either we have to change the layers or we have to change the technique by which we are growing the epitaxial layer, just like MOCVD, metal organic chemical vapor deposition, MBE. These are different techniques we use for this growth of the material. But your question is that how these defects will affect
Yes, sir.
the performance. So there are different types, but here in the Elgin Ganham, it doesn't reduce the defect. Actually, the origin of 2DG is a defect only. Surface trap. Surface trap is a defect. Here we have to live with that because we have not done any doping. If we would have any doping and would have not used this surface effects of the Elgin Ganham, it would have been trap free, but it can't be. But we can make it best possible. If you use gallium nitride native substrate, we can reduce other defects, we can reduce other phenomena, but it would be somewhat present. So what people are doing, they have changed the design from the lateral to vertical. In vertical design, which is being used in the even satellite, these are space qualified device, but they are used at lower frequency. But here the drain on the back side, and you used any silicon doped layer, and the GAN is in the top, and gate and source in the top. So you have to play with the design. Ultimately, we can't solve every problem. We have to optimize our design to get the best performance.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And one more question is there. It is asked by Yogendra Pratap Kundil, sir. What is epitaxial layer?
Yeah, very good question. Actually, if you talk about the crystalline, people talk crystallinity in a different terms. There can be powder crystals, there can be the semiconductor crystal. If you talk about the semiconductor substrate, it is also a crystal. But when you talk about epitaxy, it is actually defect free. There are no boundaries between grains, and the grain freeze. Actually, the literal meaning of epitaxy is the smallest possible grain boundary. So this is the epitaxial layer which is grown in a highly pure environment, and where is the device operating. If you see the thickness of substrate, this is too much. If you compare the epitaxial layer thickness, this is micron, 1 micron. That is where your device is sitting, and your substrate thickness is hundreds of micron. So epitaxy is again purest form of crystal material that you can form in a laboratory.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Any other question?
Yes,
Ganesh
sir.
Kaushik sir, excellent presentation, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Kaushik sir, there is one question from my side. Actually, sir, I want to ask, have you used titanium in your fabrication?
Yeah.
Sir, actually, I am working on fabrication of MOS-GaN sensor. So I read many papers. In that papers, I observed that titanium oxide is very low value of mobility as compared to SNO2, ZNO2, SiO2. Still, researchers are using. May I know the reason, sir, why titanium is most popular?
Actually, it depends. First, you have to decide in which material you are using. Here we are using in gallium nitride. Here, titanium makes titanium nitride, that is highly conductive. So when you talk about titanium in all semiconductor material, it will behave differently. But in case of GaN, it is making good ohmic contact. So you have to decide where you are naturally using. If it is making any oxide, it will not be any of use.
Yes, sir. Sir, for sensing toxic gases. Yes.
Yeah.
So there is one more question by Dr. Manasa Ranjan Jaina. Can HEMT will be released by any other device in RF power amplifier designing?
Yeah, if you can make any new device which has a higher mobility and a higher operating voltages, there it can. Currently, there is no one. If you can design new one, naturally next Nobel Prize can come here.
Any other question? So Thank you once again, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much for joining, sir. And it's really informative session for all of us. And
Thank you, sir.
in future also, sir, we'll look into this.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
So, dear participants, the next session will start at 12 p.m.
Swati,
Yes, sir.
just announce all the things that we are going to conduct in the coming session.
Okay, sir. In the yes, participants, you have to fill the 2 feedback form, one from our side and one is from the Atal FDP portal. You have to fill it in the Atal FDP portal. So after completing these 2 forms, then you can proceed for the test, which will be discussed in the last session. So any queries related to this, you can kindly contact.
Swati, when you are going to submit the that feedback Google form?
Sir, at the last session, during the last session.
During the last session. Okay.
Yes. So thank you once again. Yes, we schedule for test we will discuss in the last session. Next session.